Today we're going to have Colleen who's going to talk more about how to be more effective and produce better results in half time. But before that, I want to tell you about what events that we're going to have this week. So for tomorrow, like every Wednesday, at Hubut we have Wellness Wednesday. So if you want to do yoga in the morning before you start your work, we're going to have it tomorrow at 9 to 10. And tomorrow it's going to be about hip openers. Somehow, I don't know how it works, but because I'm not a yoga person, but that's what she told me. So yeah, please join us. And on Wednesday, we also have members who have a business called Pillow. So what is Pillow? Pillow is a love and intimacy education platform, connecting relationship experts with couples through short, intimate, and experiential audio-guided exercises. So they still building up the business itself, and they need some feedback on marketing and also social media. So if you're here, please come and help our friends. So basically for Entrepreneurial Think Tank, every Wednesday, we always welcome our members who have a business and let them to do the presentation for 15 minutes. And then after that, we're gonna brainstorm together how to solve the problem itself. And on Friday for the social events, we're going to have a lunch out at Efital Resort Ubud. So basically it's only down the road there, and we're gonna have lunch by the pool, and it's an infinity pool in a rooftop bar. So please join us. If you want to join, send us an email to RSVP @ubud.
I think someone's sitting there. Oh no, maybe not. Let's take these two in because she's going to go into.
Is there space for me?
There's totally space for you, Claudia. We're just going to get you a chair. A chair. That's Patricia. She'll.
This side.
She's.
So yeah.
I don't know. We'll get you a chair. Kush, can you get a chair?
Yeah. Let me do
great.
it.
We'll switch.
Like, girl, let me do it. So yeah, so now I present you Colleen. Applause, everyone.
Round of applause. Very good. All right, welcome you guys. Thank you so much for coming. What usually happens here is that we have latecomers, which is great, no problem. It is island time. So as they come in, we just might have to manage getting them chairs, and I will just make sure we manage that. But if we could just have some patience as that happens, that would be great. All right, so my name is Colleen Schell. I am the founder and creator of the CREW, Success Incubator for Entrepreneurs in Paradise. I'm so excited to be standing in front of you guys because I love doing this work. I love standing in front of people and teaching people amazing things that I've found out to have me be more effective and get results. I am all about results. I've come from business development. I used to do work with Microsoft, Google, New Line Cinema, Nike, Coca-Cola, you kind of name it. It was my job to close business with them as an advertising executive and do some strategy and marketing for them. So thank you for being here. Because you're here, I get to do what I love. Today we're going to be talking about how to be more effective and produce better results in half the amount of time. So I just want to hear from you guys, why is that important to you? In other words, why are you here?
Because I want to do what I love too.
Because you want to do what you love as well. So can you share a little bit about that? What is it that you love?
I love design. I want to create my own online business to bring design directly from producers to the final consumer. You know? Having people who build or who create the things being more well paid than third parties nowadays pay them.
Okay, beautiful. So you want to take designs and make sure that those people who are designing get compensated properly, and you want to take that and spread that out into the world so people can enjoy the designs in their lives. Beautiful. And you can see that being more effective and getting results would help you accomplish that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, beautiful. Who else? Why are you here? Yes, Alexis.
I find when I'm really nailing tasks and moving forward, I get energy from that, you know? And then sometimes I lose a lot of energy and I'm like all biting my nails and I'm just like pushing and I'm getting drained and I'm feeling less empowered. And then when I'm just like ticking tasks off, moving forward, you just get energy. So I want to keep in that flow because I want to just keep working, keep doing as much as I can achieve my whole life, but it's only sustainable. You're not going to age that much if you're in that cool rhythm where you're, you know, you're getting like energy from working.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so it's like, does anybody else experience that when you're getting results and knocking pins down, you have more energy?
Yeah.
You do, don't you? And then what happens when you're done knocking the pins down, you actually have energy for other parts of your life. So now you're creating a balanced life because you're not just exhausted from working so much and all you can do is stare and watch Black Mirror all day long. That show is so weird. Okay. And another thing that you were kind of speaking to is this compounding effect. Like once you get results, you get energy, then you get more results, then you get energy, then you get more results, and you get this flow state, which is like this oneness that happens with your task. So you have to do something and you are the one doing it and you have like, you become one with the task and like time disappears, yeah? Okay, great. Yeah, hun?
I find because my resources are limited, I only have so much time, and I just started a business 2 years ago, and I just have to be much more effective with how much I can achieve in a day.
Right, yes.
Doing things in half the time.
Yeah.
Really doing.
Right, especially being like, I'm assuming you may be a solopreneur, like an entrepreneur that works by yourself.
Yeah, so recently I actually got help, but then I have 2 people working for me, but it's also to delegate, what to delegate,
Yeah.
how to minimize the time of actually preparing them to get started.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things to kind of juggle at the same time.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, we have limited resources as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs. Not only do we have limited time, money, but we ourselves are a limited resource. You know, we are infinite beings that have the spirit inside of us, whatever you believe, but at the same time, we are in this physical form that only allows us to do so much. So we want to take advantage of this physical form. It's like, how do I optimize this machine as much as I can in order to be effective, get the results I want, and then get the rewards of those results. Okay. Anybody else? One more person maybe? Why you're here? Yeah, Emma.
I've got 3 companies and I have a lot of projects running in all of them, and it's focusing for me. It's because I kind of think, well, I've got to do that and I've got to do that, I've got to do. It's similar to this lady, I guess, but it's just making myself focus. Big reading.
Yeah, I know, right?
Company reading, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're all doing similar things, but it's trying to prioritize, because everything's a priority.
Yeah.
Everything's a priority.
Yeah, it seems like everything's a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's quite hard to say, well, I'm only going to do this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
When I'm overwhelmed, I get nothing done.
exactly.
Because I actually can't focus.
I sit in that state.
Yeah.
I have to be clear and
Yeah.
not be overwhelmed.
Uh-huh.
Just to not be overwhelmed.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, sweetheart?
Say something?
Yeah.
I just keep noticing with myself, I have this tendency to take as much time as I have. You know, so if I have 14 hours, I spend 14 hours with my computer in Bali. Why? Why did I do that? You know, it's like wasted opportunity of being here.
Yeah.
So, without an urgent deadline, I'd love a way to be getting stuff done. So I can
Yeah.
live.
Yeah, I get that. So a lot of us have ineffective patterns in our lives that are not actually creating the results that we want for ourselves, yeah? And so that is one of mine as well. If I'm, I'll have 2 months to do something, but I won't work on it until the last 2 weeks. Just because I procrastinate or whatever you want to call it, I just, and then it's like, all right, and then when I find the butt's on the line, I get into action. But that created a limitation to my life. You know what I mean? So it was like all of a sudden, now I'm like stressed, overwhelmed, upset. Am I going to get it done? And was I even really doing my best work? I don't know. In that time, I found it when I had more space and actually, taking down milestones to get things done. My experience of life was definitely better. Yeah. Okay, great. All right, perfect. Thank you guys so much for sharing. So first off, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself so that you can get who is standing in front of you, and then we're going to get into the content. This stuff is like really practical stuff. It's not like rocket science. It really is very practical stuff, but if you implement even, you know, really if you just implement one of these things, you're going to see you being more effective, and if you implement 3, I mean really the whole effectiveness and results are going to start shifting. Okay? So I come from, just to give you my background, I come from San Francisco. I lived there for 18 years. I grew up in business development, as I mentioned. So I used to go and steal large companies from other large advertising agencies. So I worked for a global advertising agency, and I was the one who would create the strategy and do the dog and pony show. So I'd be up the one presenting and saying, isn't this great? You should come with us, ditch that old guy, we're better. So I had the chance to work with some of the biggest brands in the world, which is fantastic. And then I started to do consulting. And in my consulting, I was learning about transformational education. I was learning about emotional intelligence, and I was doing meditation. And I learned a lot from those things that I was applying then to my consulting. And then after I started like talking, so I was doing business development, so I was doing turnarounds. So if a company was going into the ground and they needed to turn around and get their sales back up in order to survive, I would go in and help them. Also doing some work with entrepreneurs. If an entrepreneur needed to close millions of dollars worth of investment, that was when I would step in and help them actually do that. And then I started applying some of these things that I was learning in my kind of my own off time to my clients, and then I organically became a leadership coach because of that. So then I turned into a leadership coach, and then I started doing emotional intelligence trainings for large organizations and also negotiation trainings for large organizations. So I would go in, selling emotional intelligence was one thing, selling negotiations was the whole thing. When I stopped selling emotional intelligence and started doing negotiations, I was able to close more business and double my price because they could see the pathway for success, right? Like, it's like emotional intelligence sounds nice, but are they going to put their butt on the line, their money on the line for it? That was kind of tough, but negotiations, just as a tip, how you frame what you're doing, how it aligns with the pain points of your target audience is key. My negotiations partner, who I did the business with, got into an accident and could no longer work anymore, unfortunately, and then I moved to Bali. So I've been here for 3 years. I started the Crew a year ago. One of the main reasons I started the Crew is because people were feeling alone, stuck, and not getting the results that they wanted. So I was like, why don't I just start an incubator, apply what I know from leadership development, emotional intelligence, business development, negotiations, and put it into a program for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. What you're going to see here today is a truncated version of a lot of what I teach in the Crew. All right, so it's just simple stuff that people get together, we become accountable, and we start getting stuff done and getting different results, better results for our lives and our business. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Sarah here. Sarah is like this mastermind productivity wizard. She seems like a superhero. She seems to get everything done. It's not a problem. She has the whole life together. She has a lot of results that she is creating. Does anyone know a Sarah in their own life? Yes, fantastic. Does anyone feel like they are Sarah? Who wants to be more like Sarah? Yeah, I do. But I am more like this, drinking large amount of coffee and making to-do lists that I'm unlikely to do. So that's, you know, I talked about how I'm a procrastinator by default. So another thing about the Crew is really great is it actually had me get into action and start getting results for myself because I had structures along with it. So today what I want to do is I want to start breaking down the myths of productivity. And I want to show you the top 3 areas that you can start focusing on in order to win. And these areas are 1, structure, 2, strategy, and 3, mindset. So we're going to dig into all 3 of these a little bit, just to give you a taste of what it looks like to build up your structure, make sure you have a strategy, and to start being responsible for your mindset. If you guys have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. Okay, so let's talk about structure. Now, structure is what I call creating the conditions for success. Who knows what I mean by that? if you're going to create the conditions for success, what does that mean? Yeah, Emma.
Look after yourself. So you're
Yeah,
able-
look after yourself. So that is that you're creating the conditions so that if you're looking after yourself, you're having self-care, that's the condition so that you can step in and be powerful and get done what you need to get done. So yeah, creating the conditions for success is just like a garden. Like in a garden, you want to, till the soil, you want to put in the fertilizer, you want to take out the weeds. That's creating the condition for a beautiful garden to grow. Without that conditioning, the success of the garden could be wonky or there could be no success at all. So you just want to think to yourself, how are you creating the conditions for you to be successful? What are you doing in your own life that has you feel more powerful, more free, more in charge, more loving, all that good stuff. So this is structure creates the conditions for success. All right, so let's talk about number one structure, environment. So we've seen probably these photos before, the woman, the beach, and on the rock, and we're out with our laptop, and this is what we thought it was going to be like to be location independent, right? It's like this was what they sold us, this fantasy. But to be honest with you, there's no way for her to be effective sitting on a rock with the computer. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So your environment is key. So you just want to think about where you are when you are working and you want to get something done. And this is why co-working spaces have popped up all over the world, because they provide a space, an environment where people are working. And you can even see it here in Habood. I mean, Habood is very, we're all about community and there's a lot of talking, so there's not, that impacts the productivity. Who's been to Outpost? A couple people. Drastically different energy, yeah? Like for Outpost, Outpost is all about getting shit done. There's no real community, there's no talking, chit-chatting, it's like white walls, we're here to, what's that? People don't look at you. No, they are there to get stuff done. Now I will say that you can be really highly productive at Outpost. But it comes, there is a cost. It's like, because another thing about environment is community. You want to have people around you that are supporting you and doing the same thing and that you feel connected. You don't want to feel isolated. So you could feel isolated at Outpost. I'm not saying that people do or not, that could be an outcome. So environment is key. So when you're in a cafe, even though you're in the cafe working, there's a lot of other people working. A cafe pulls for eating cake and having coffee and chit-chatting with people. So if you find yourself not being effective as you want to be, just look around you and be like, all right, where am I trying to get stuff done? And for yourself, if you put together just like a home office, just to be a corner, a specific place that this is where I get my work done, that'll help you become more effective. All right, so another part of structure is you're going to want to surround yourself with the right people. As probably people have heard about who you hang around with, the 5 people you hang around with is what creates what's possible in your life. You become like them. Has anyone heard that expression before? Yeah. Does anyone see that in their own life? Can you see that? Okay, great. So, we're going to have friends come and go in our life, but we're also going to have friends that stick around our whole lives. I'm not saying get rid of your friends and get new friends. I'm more talking about like how can you empower yourself and put yourself around the people that are doing something similar to you and really going for it, putting their butt on the line. Getting results and being effective half a mile at a time is a sprint. It is really something that you're going to want to try to, you're going to want to go for it. It's not a casual thing, and you just have to ask yourself, is this a time that I'm actually going to be motivated, or is this a time where I'm taking a little incubation? So, just think for yourself right now. Think about some of the games you're playing, meaning like what work you're doing. Think about the people around you. Think about the ones that you're like, I should really spend more time with this person. Or think about who you would like to be spending time with. And you want to think about this as your team. Because we all need a team. We can't do this alone. No one's ever done it alone. So if you're trying to hack at this way, doing this alone, you're not going to be successful. It's just going to take you down, and this is why a lot of entrepreneurs have depression. Is, you know, depression is an epidemic around entrepreneurs. And it's because they feel powerless, because they feel like they have to do it alone, and they're not surrounding themselves with a team. So you can ask yourself, who do I want as my team, as my support team? It doesn't, you know, if you have some budget you can throw at it, you know, you can get a coach, you can get a mentor, you can join a mastermind. Some masterminds are actually free. You can join the crew. But you want to start thinking about who do I want on my team? And now just really think about this right now. And even if it's somebody big, like, you know, I have an imagination that I want Chip Conley on my team. He's like started an amazing hotel chain and was the chief experience officer at Airbnb, and he's a part of my one of my networks that I'm a part of, groups that I'm a part of. And so I have him on my team. I haven't had the balls to go ask him yet, or is not ready. I guess I'm just not ready. But it's like, for yourself, who would you like to have on your team supporting you? And just take a couple minutes and brainstorm that. Think about the people in your life. Think about people that you know, like you might not have a relationship with, but be interested in having a relationship with. And there's many things that you can do with them. You could ask them, like, especially if you're looking for a mentor, you could just ask them, hey, would you be willing to be a mentor of mine? Hour a week, just getting together, bounce some ideas. You can start your own mastermind with your friends. You can also think about the services that you need. And then just think about, like, oh, I really need someone to just teach me some Facebook ad stuff, or it'd be great to have someone to write 5 of my 5 blogs. You know, if you're writing a blog, if you're starting a blog, you just need 5 killer pillar posts. What are the 5 blog posts that your target market is going to be really interested in? You can start there, but if you're like, I just need someone to write those. Okay, great. Good job, guys. All right, another part of structure is get an accountability buddy. So this is what you could do in order to be accountable and create fake deadlines, so that you don't take, if you have 14 hours to do something, you don't just do it in the last 2 hours. You find an accountability buddy and they keep you accountable. Now this accountability buddy, you know, doesn't have to look exactly like this, but this is the flavor of your accountability buddy that you want. You don't want it your best friend or your lover who will let you off the hook and be like, it's okay, honey, why don't we go to the spa? You want someone who's a little bit of a hard ass and you might be a little scared of. Like, oh, if I don't say, it's more like, I cannot get on the call and tell this person I didn't do it. So then you just get it done. Does that make sense? So being accountable to somebody is key, because it keeps you on the hook to get it done. And then your actions become different. Because if you know if you have to get on the phone or have the meeting and say, I didn't get that done, you know that feeling. And then also what happens is that whole thing of like, I'm not good enough, I knew it was never going to happen for me, I'm never going to change. All those stories come up. So there's a big impact when you don't do what you say you're going to do. There's a big impact on you. I mean, who has experienced themselves when they're sitting on the beach and they have this gorgeous turquoise water in front of them and the sun is perfect and you have like maybe a pina colada in your hand, but you feel like, ugh, because you didn't do what you say you were going to do. Who's experienced that? Yeah, it's miserable, right? We want to feel free at the beach when we're at the beach. And then another thing that's funny is that when we're doing the work, we're imagining ourselves at the beach. It's like, oh, it'd be so great to be at the beach. And then you think, oh, I'm going to the beach on Saturday. Oh my God, my life is wonderful because I'm going to the beach. So it's like how you're projecting into your life actually has your experience. happening. Okay, but that's a whole other thing.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, honey.
How often do you like to check in when you have an accountability buddy yourself?
I've had the same accountability buddy for 7 years, and we check in every weekday
Oh. On the phone?
on the phone because he's in San Francisco. Yeah, so we check in every day. You don't have to check in every day, but at least once a week it would be good. You know, just to make sure you're on track and that you're, you know, for the accountability buddy, this is the structure that you want to do is that you want to just tell them, and we're talking about priorities, you want to tell them the one thing you're going to get done that week. In the crew, we call it the champagne moment. So you have 1 week to get this one thing done. And you want to talk to that person and say, this is what you can count on me to get done. This is what I'm going to do. And then you're on the hook for that thing. We don't have, you know, we have, priorities is not real. That is a made-up concept. There's only one, you can't have a bunch of things in one area. Does that make sense? It's one priority. Prioritize. That's it. So make sure you focus on one thing. Doesn't mean you're not going to be doing other things. Just means that this is what you're committed to getting done, and this is what you're going to be accountable for your accountability buddy. So does anyone know of accountability buddy that they can call today and see if they would be willing to create a structure with you?
One question, is it like an exchange? Would it be accountable?
Yeah, then they become accountable to you. And then you have to become like him. You have to channel him. And don't let them off the hook. Because it's like, it's kind of like that tough love. It's like you want to make sure that they're doing what they're doing, because if they do what they do, they have more freedom, more passion, more results. So you're really being of service.
Do you ever say, like, if I'm not accountable for this, this will happen, or you don't go there?
Sometimes. I usually do that when when I have not done what I said I was going to do. I said, all right, I need to get back on it. If I don't do this, then I will X, like give you $100 or, you know, pay for you and your boyfriend to go out to dinner, whatever that looks like. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be long. Make sure it's like, you want to make sure that you have keep a cap on it. 15 to 30 minutes is really all you need. Really all you need, 15 to 30 minutes. You just want to say what you're going to get done. Then if you could talk about if you need any support as well, like what are you going to get done, where you need support. But that is also becomes better when you're in a group thing, when you're in a mastermind where there's a lot of people supporting you, because you don't want to just depend on each other for support. Okay. All right. The final of the structures is the 3 things to-do list. So this is this is combating the 50 things on your to-do list kind of strategy that we always use, right? It's like we have this huge to-do list that we need to do, and our brain is not being able to see, like, what is it that we actually should be doing and focusing on. And usually we default, you know, to the lesser important, easier things. Yeah, have you found yourself doing that? I was like, oh, I'll just do this. Okay, I'll get this, you know. And then because we're overwhelmed, that takes twice as long. So if you're doing 3 things a day and knocking down 3 things a day, you're going to find yourself being more effective and getting more results. Let me see my book. So this is I have a crew calendar that I teach. Let me find one that's actually, here, this will work. So you can see, I have my 3 things to do right here. So I just make these boxes, and then I just write down my 3 things to do, and then I try to knock them off. This was when I was in home.
Priorities, I guess. It's not about sending an email to someone.
Yeah, so what you want these,
that really moves things forward.
exactly. You want these things to be leverageable, the most leverageable things that you can do in order to get the results that you want. Because there's so much you can do in order to move your business forward. But because we have limited resources, you want to start thinking to yourself, what is the most leverageable thing I can do right now that's going to move my business forward? And you want to focus on that. Because quick wins, you want to have quick wins, and you don't want to exhaust yourself. You know, a lot of people come to the Crew and they're like, I'm going to have a $10,000 launch. And I'm like, well, have you ever launched a product before? No. Do you have a list of people you're going to launch to? No. I'm like, well, the likelihood of you getting that done in 4 weeks is very low. And you're just going to exhaust yourself. But there is something that you can move your business forward in order to get to that $10,000 launch down the line. Like, what is that leverageable item that you can do? Okay, well, I have a partner with this and this and this. Okay, I just want you to focus on that partnership. I want you to exploit it. I want you to take advantage of it. I want you to make sure you're giving a huge amount of value to that person so they're just like a no-brainer to work with you. Now, again, you might be doing other things during the day, but these 3 things that you're saying, these are the 3 things you're saying you're committed to doing. Because it is impossible to get through the to-do list. Okay. All right, let's talk about strategy. All right, so when you don't have the skills, you got to have a good strategy. So because a lot of us are new to this and we're going, and you know, we're always going into new territory as we're growing and expanding, which is great because it means that we're not having a latent business. When I was in Thailand, I was playing foosball with this guy at a bar, and he's like, oh, you want to play foosball? I'm like, yeah, I'll play foosball. He's like, yeah, you any good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So we're playing foosball. It was very clear that he was much better than me. Very, very quickly, much better than me. But I noticed that he had a man missing on his side of the foosball table. So because I didn't have the skill, my strategy was to get the ball to where his missing man was so I can get through him, right? And so I just kept on doing that. Now, he still won, but it was a bigger competition. But he also just said, I noticed that the ball keeps on going over here. I'm like, yeah, you got to have a strategy if you don't have the skill. That's just the way of it, right? So if someone was going to explain a strategy, what is strategy?
It's an intelligent plan of action.
An intelligent plan of action. Yeah, great. Anybody else?
Well, knowing your strengths and weaknesses, yours and your opponent's.
Yeah, that's a strategy in itself. Yes, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I did with my guy. Like, he had a weakness because he had a man out. Beautiful. Yeah, so strategy sometimes seems elusive. I was with a client the other day, and we were talking about doing something influencer marketing, and they grabbed a group of people. I said, okay, great. And I'm like, well, you know, what's your plan? What's your strategy? And they had no strategy. So people forget that you have to have strategy. And because they have no strategy, they had nowhere they were going. Have you ever heard the term, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there? And that drains you. It totally drains you if you don't know where you're going. And all a strategy is some sort of goal out in the future and the pathway that's going to get you there. That's it. It's very simple. So you just want to, what's the goal? What's the outcome we want? And what's the pathway that we're going to use to get ourselves there? All right, so let's talk about strategy. One key strategy is managing your time. You're managing your energy, not your time. Has anyone heard this before? Yeah, great. Have you been able to implement any of the stuff that you've learned?
Yeah, I think it's been really helpful. Like, for one thing, I know that I work with the most amount of focus in the afternoon, so I just make sure that I put like the most important time in like 1 to 3 p.m. because I know that's like when I have the most.
Great. Yeah, that's really great. So this is what we want to think about right now, because we do want to think about where are we most energetic throughout the day. So just think for yourself right now. If you were going to just see yourself back in the future, I mean back in the past, like where do you see yourself having the most energy? Write that down. And where do you see yourself where you're more unenergetic? So now what you want to do when you have these, let's just call it genius. genius zone, and then just like, so what you want to do is you want to start thinking to yourself, you know, there's a place where you are doing what you love, but you're not necessarily the most trained at it yet. You don't have the skills for it, but you're doing what you love. This is called your genius zone. So in your genius zone, I don't know why I put that big line because I'm not going to watch. The genius zone is where you want your highest level action. You want to work on this stuff where you are most jazzed about, but still need training development in. And then this other bucket, I'm just calling it train on the track. So when you're not having as much energy, how are you just keeping the train on the track? The train's going, you know, so this would be like doing emails, you know, setting up structures, stuff that's doesn't take as much mind power. And when you think about doing the train on the track, also think about how much time you're spending on things like emails or looking for team members or communications, stuff that often what we do is we want to do our best work all the time. I know this is what I used to get caught up doing. I always wanted to do A work. I always wanted to look really good. So I would do an email and I would read the email again, then I would let it sit. Then I would read it again, do some editing. And it was like, take way too long just to send out this email. Because I was trying to do A work, but I don't need to do A work in my emails. I just need to get the communication out, and it's not going to impact me too bad if it's C work. Does that make sense? Like, it's not perfect. So just check for yourself, are you trying to be perfect in every area, and where can you just kind of do efficiencies and get stuff out? It doesn't always have to be the best. It's better, as a friend of mine was getting his PhD from Berkeley, his advisor says, don't get it right, get it writ. Like, you're trying to be too perfect. Just get it out. Just get it out there and start moving into more to better things. Okay. So in your calendar, you can also block out time where you can do, it's like, this is my energetic time, this is where I'm going to be doing my genius stones and stuff, and this is the time where I'm not that energetic, and here's the things, this is my email time. And you know, email can be a total suck for a lot of people. You know, we can get down the email route, and then other people's emergency becomes your emergency. Have you ever experienced that? Like, other people are like, I have to get this done. You need to respond to me immediately, blah, 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 blah. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Because you didn't manage your time effectively, I can't be the effect of that. You know, so when you have someone who's like that, make sure that you're managing them, being like, you know, I'll be able to give it to you in 3 days. You better get into communication with who you need to get into communication with. Don't take on other people's emergencies and priorities as your own. All right, let's talk about Emily and Scott. So Emily, you know, you see her wandering around a lot. You see her staring out the window. You might see her getting coffee and chit-chatting with people. You know, you kind of see her out and about a lot, like always walking around. And Scott, he never leaves his computer. Like, you don't even really see him eating, but if he does eat, he's, you know, sitting at his desk and having lunch at his desk next to his computer. He's like, you know, like, wow, he's like really focused and like maybe he's got his shit together. Who do you think is more productive?
Mixture of both.
Mixture of both. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, the default thing is to think that Scott's probably getting more stuff done. But what Emily is doing is this counterintuitive thing around productivity where she's taking breaks every hour for 15 minutes. When I was working at the advertising agency, I tell you, I was a social butterfly. I was always up and about, and I was like, when was it, the early 2000s, and I had like a wireless headset. I would walk around the office. Oh my God, I can't imagine what people thought of me. And I would love it. I'd be like, I'm like totally like, hey, salesperson, hey, how's it going? Yeah, what are you working on, Mike? La, la, la. But I had such a fun time. But everyone was always surprised. I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know about taking breaks. Everyone was always surprised how I was able to get these big results and create these amazing presentations and strategies for the clients. And it was because I took those breaks. So I learned later on that your brain is more effective when you take breaks. If you're not taking the breaks, you drain your brain and you cause stress. And when you cause stress in the brain, your best thinking goes away. So now you're producing mediocre, well, beyond, like below your capability of producing good work. So what I teach in the crew is what is called the hour of power. So what you don't see, so what people didn't see me doing and what people don't see Emily doing is that for 45 minutes, she is focused. She is doing focused work. And for 15 minutes, she's taking a break. So in those 45 minutes, she's not on social media. She's not allowing anyone to bother her. She's not taking any calls. She's not doing emails. She's doing nothing but what she is committed to self that she's doing. So the hour of power is you write 1 to 3 things that you want to get done in that 45 minutes, and you just focus on that work. No distractions. In corporate America, they've shown that people waste 3 to 5 hours a day with distractions. Why do you think it's that high? Because they do have the phone, you're right.
Doesn't it take 30 minutes for your mind to fully focus on something? And if you're always like checking your phone every 5 minutes?
Great, sweetheart, really great. So that's it. The problem is it's not the 5 minutes that you are taking with that person or that thing. It's the fact that it takes you so long to get back into focus. So even though it looks like it's only 5 minutes, that's actually impacting 20 minutes of your time. So that's why you want to do the 45-minute focus, like no interruptions, no distractions. And if someone wants to come and bother you, just say, now I say I'm an hour power, bugger off, and people know what I'm saying. But like, I'm doing focus work right now. I'll reach out to you later. And just tell them. And you have to be diligent about this. But then you have to take the breaks, because a lot of things that people do this focus work and then they don't take the breaks. But if you're not taking the breaks, you're just exhausting yourself and you're not going to get the good results. So make sure you take the 15-minute break. 15-minute break is getting on Facebook, doing some social media, going having a coffee, have some chocolate, hug a couple people. Go look outside. Looking outside, your brain loves the horizon. It totally opens up your nervous system when the brain can see the horizon and all this space in front of you. When you're always like this, the brain's like, oh, I'm trapped. So it's good to get outside and look at the horizon. Okay. All right, so we talked about the most leverageable items. So I want to dig that into, that's a very good strategy that we can take, and I want to dig into that a little bit more and just for you guys to think for yourself. What does leverageable mean? Yes, so it has an impact and you can measure it, which is good. That would be.
It's going to give you like the greatest results.
Yes. Yes. So when something's leverageable, it's like you take one action and you have multiple outcomes. When I first started the crew, I partnered with Tribe Wanted. Tribe Wanted was doing something very similar, but it was less structure. It was more of a mastermind. Everyone just kind of got together and helped each other. It was great, but I was like, I want to do something that's more training and development, more business structure, more so that when people pop out, they really feel like they've gotten something for themselves that they can apply later on. So I started the crew and I'm like, hey, do you want to partner? And they were like, yeah, I'll partner with you. Then because they've been doing this for a couple years, so then all I had to do was send out an email to their people and be like, we're now partnering with the crew. If you want to go to Bali and do something, go to the crew. So for the first 3 months of the crew, it was only Tribe Wanted people. If I didn't do that, I would have to build the website, do all the marketing, you do a lot of stuff in order to drive 30 people to come do the crew. So the most leverageable item for me is to partner with this person and have them do a lot of the work. And they got rewarded on the back end because of the referral fees. So for yourself, does that make sense? So one action, multiple outcomes.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
When you partner with someone, you also have to like sell it a little bit. So you didn't have a website, you didn't have any marketing materials or something to show them what you were actually working on? Or?
You know, we did a landing page on Tribe Wanted's website, and then I did do a website like month 2. I just did my own website, which is still the same thing. Yeah, but because Tribe Wanted had such a great relationship with their community, they trusted Tribe Wanted. So we didn't need to have a lot of stuff.
You knew the people from Tribe Wanted already, or?
I did not. But if you type in like Bali co-working, Tribe Wanted just comes up on top. And most of them are in the UK or Europe, and it has a good brand there. So I just leveraged that brand's equity. So I didn't need to do a lot of work. And if anyone wanted to come to Bali, Tribe Wanted Bali, now it was you're going to come to the Crew instead of Tribe Wanted. So it just depends. I mean, you have to see, you know, what the person is. Like, you know, I have a client right now that really outsourced all his relationship building, and he worked with entrepreneurship incubators all around the world, and he got great partners with his incubators. Like, so they were the influencers of the entrepreneurs, but because he didn't make any relationship with the entrepreneurs. I mean, when people at Tribe Wanted, they would apply for the Crew, and then I would get on the phone, and that's how they would come. Like, I had a high touch point with them. But my client wasn't doing that, and unfortunately, you know, it just drove the business into the ground because he wasn't making the end user relationship. He was depending on someone else to create the relationship, which is not necessarily the best way. So I ultimately had to create the relationship, but they were the door opener. But I had to get on the phone for them to actually come. Like, they had to trust me that I could train them. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so right now, just think really quickly, what's the most leverageable item you can do for your business? Is there an opportunity? Think about what you really need to do in Q1 to drive your business forward. I mean, do you really need 100 clients, or do you need 10? Do you really need to build that website, or do you just need to get on the phone? People love to build websites. I'm like, don't worry about the website. Get on the phone. Okay, finally, for a strategy, we're going to talk about Eat Your Frog. This is Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy has this, he's a productivity guru. He has a saying, eat your frog. And he's saying, if you have to eat a frog every day, are you going to eat it in the morning, the afternoon, or in the evening? So it's like, you know, if you have to eat a frog every day and you're like, okay, I'm going to go and do the emails instead, all right, I'm going to go to my lunch meeting, and all day you have this, oh, I got to eat that frog, I got to eat that frog, I got to eat that frog, and that impacts your everyday experience of life. How important is how you feel? Yeah, it's the most important thing. How you feel is everything. That's it. Just start doing the things that start having you feel the way you want to feel. Like, if you could be that bold and courageous to just start doing the things that have you feel the way you want to feel, oh my God, your whole life would change. Just do that. But part of that is eating your frog. So every day, I just write a little frog face on my calendaring, and I just write down if I have a frog. I mean, sometimes I don't have a frog. If I have a frog, I'll write it down right next to the frog. I'll be like, all right, let's get this done. And so then I know that's like an important thing that needs to get done, that if I got done, I would have more freedom. Eating your frog equals freedom. So for yourself, just really quickly write down, what's one frog, what's that thing, you know what it is. It's that thing you've been avoiding, that you don't want to do, but you know you need to do, and get it off your plate. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find yourself an accountability buddy even for that frog. You might even want to poke someone after the session here and just say, hey, would you just be accountable for my frog here? And then you don't even know. You might become accountability buddies for a long time. So what's a frog that you can eat that you know you just need to get done? And then if you got it done tomorrow, but by tomorrow, this time, it would drastically change your life. Does everyone have one? Couple. Okay, great. Knock them down one at a time. Get an accountability buddy. Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about mindset. You want to keep your head in the game. And how you keep your head in the game is focusing on understanding what you're focusing on, what you're paying attention to. What you pay attention to is key to what actually happens in your life. Your attention is your most valuable asset. So if your attention is on, I'm not good enough, I'm not valuable, I can't do this, that is the results you're going to be getting. But if your intention is on, I'm getting better and better every day, I can acknowledge myself for X, Y, and Z, I'm so grateful for this and this and this, you'll see that you'll start taking different actions. So as I mentioned, I teach emotional intelligence. I love emotional intelligence. I think it kicks ass. It totally supports me for success. They have shown again and again that emotional intelligence is the #1 thing to focus on if you want more success in your life. They've said that emotional intelligence accounts for 2/3 of your success, where IQ, experience, and technical knowledge only accounts for 1/3. Now, that's definitely not what someone told me. They said that I had to be really smart and that I had to have a really great experience, and that's how I was going to be successful and especially be the leader. One of the reasons why I like emotional intelligence so much is that I am naturally emotionally intelligent. So I had a huge boon in my career because I had this natural emotional intelligence. I didn't know what it was at the time. I would experience like multiple times where I would get promoted in the interview. And I'd be like, why am I getting promoted in the interview? And it was because they could see that I was emotionally intelligent.
But what do you mean by that? Like, you just intuitively know what to say, what do you know?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, let me get into it.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Yes, yes. All right, so we're going to talk about understanding your emotions. First, we're just going to say, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is being able to understand and manage your and others' emotions so that you can think clearly and react appropriately to create better results. All right, so that's a lot of words. So we're going to dig down into that. So being able to understand and manage your and others' emotions so that you can think clearly and react appropriately to create better results. All right, so why would you have to manage and understand your emotions, and how do emotions have anything to do with results? Has anyone experienced themselves acting inappropriately in a business situation?
All the time.
Yeah. Thank you. I love the honesty. All the fucking time. Great, I have too. Anybody else? So the challenge is that it's our emotions that are driving our behaviors. But most of us are blind to this. We don't understand that it's our emotions that are driving our behaviors. Most of us, Zig Ziglar, who was a business guru from the 70s, he was phenomenal. We believe that if we do something, we will have something, and then we will be something. Like if I do my three things to do list, then I'll have better results, and then I will be happy, satisfied, fulfilled, right? And it seems like it makes total sense. You do this, then you have it, then you'll be it. If I make more money, then I'll have the Mercedes-Benz, then I will be, successful. That's more of a Western, that's what I used to say to the leaders. You guys are probably not like that at all. If I do more yoga, then I'll have a flexible body, and then I'll be happier. Yeah? So what emotional intelligence shows is that it's actually the other way around. I'll just keep that up there. It's be, do, have. And you can see this when you can see it when you're being inappropriate. So like I one time quit in a fit of rage in France, in Cannes, France, at this trade show in the Croisette. I was just pissed, and I'm like, I quit! So who I was being is angry. And then what I was doing was acting like an asshole. and then what I had was no job, right? An upset ex-boss and all that good stuff. But if I was able to stop myself in who I was being, then I would be able to impact the reaction I was having, what I was doing, and then I would have different results. So we want to think about our emotions. Our emotions drive our reaction drive our results, yeah? Can everyone see that? Can anyone not see that? Like you don't choose to get angry, you just get angry, yeah? Okay, beautiful. So what emotional intelligence does is it just adds choice in between the emotions and the reaction.
Sorry, we just take a few shots of this workshop.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
I guess so. Perfect.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Okay, great. So now what emotional intelligence does is just creates this space in between your reaction. And you know, there's a lot that needs to be talked about around emotional intelligence. We don't have time here, but I will give you one tip. Your body knows your emotions more than you do, like more than your brain does. So your body is 7 seconds ahead of you. One time I got stung by a bee at an Indian ashram, and I hit the bee, and I'm like, what am I doing hitting the bee? I don't hit bees. I don't even kill ants or mosquitoes. It's like, why would I hit a bee? And then the pain hit me. I was like, oh, it stung me. So my brain, my amygdala, was actually creating this, you know, reaction before I even know the pain was there. And so what you want to do is that you want to start understanding your body's reactions so that you can have choice. So for yourself, just look back like, okay, when I get angry, what happens to me? You know, maybe you find you're clenching your fist, or your like solar plexus are tight, or you just, you know, get, you know, a little hot-headed. And even when you get sad or even happy, all emotions, if you're not paying attention to the emotions, can drive you. Even happiness can impact your results. Has anyone signed a partnership agreement because you were so happy and then you realized you got screwed? So when you're feeling yourself having an emotional reaction, the best thing to do is breathe. But you also need to know what you're committed to. If you don't know what you're committed to, it's very hard to recalibrate. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to talk about our why and what we're committed to. My commitment, I have a way of being that I'm committed to, which is love, joy, and courage. Now I'm committed to those things. Because I know I'm committed to those things, when someone triggers me, instead of being like, big to them, I'll be like, all right, I say I'm committed to love. Let's see why I'm being triggered here. They're just saying words, and my body is reacting. So I can stop the train from going down the track a little bit by just breathing and realize that I'm committed to something else. So I take a different choice. So for you guys, I just want you to think about, we only have 3 minutes left. Think about your why mission. So this is a way that you can get committed to things where you're reacting differently. So instead of just being reaction to the emotion, you're now making choices and taking reactions that are more in line with your commitment. So the why mission is very simple. This is your North Star. Is I want to show the world blank in order to create a world of blank. Mine is I want to show the world that change makers who are empowered through love and courage will create a world that is unrecognizable to us now. So you can see I have the love and the courage in there. I want to empower other people. So if I act like a jerk face with somebody and then the next day they show up in my classroom, workshop, that's not going to work, is it? Because I've lost credibility. They're going to be like, oh, this cat, no, I'm leaving. She's horrible. You know? So because of that commitment that I have, it has me behave in very specific ways. So take a moment right now and just create your North Star. You can just start brainstorming. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, who's got one that'd be willing to share? Yeah, Alexis.
I kind of do this, I realized. I say, like, in the morning intentions, and I just say, at the end of the day, I'm going to, you know, open everyone's heart that I come into contact with, and I will allow them to be their authentic self and positively influence everyone around me.
Great. Yeah, so now do you find yourself showing up differently in the day because of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And do you find, are you able to stop the train of emotions? Like, because you're like, all right, I want to show up not accepting this person, but I said I'm committed to accepting them.
Yeah, totally. Like, it just actually happened in a cafe. The guy that was serving me started to be, like, not very nice, and I just kind of smiled and then just walked away and didn't get involved in it. So
Yeah, great. Yeah. So it's this future that she's committed to out here that's driving her impact right now. But if you don't have that future, it's hard to navigate, well, how do I show up? Anybody else have anything to share about that? Anyone to share what they wrote? Come on, somebody. Was it that you didn't do it, or are you just shy? Who actually did it?
Not enough time.
I'll read mine.
Yes, I knew it. Okay, what
Okay.
you got?
I want to show the world that through compassion and consciousness awakening, we can create a world that is more peaceful and integrated.
Beautiful. Can you say it again?
I want to show the world that through compassion and consciousness awakening, we will create a world that is more peaceful and integrated.
Fantastic. Who is inspired by that? Right? Of course. So that's great. So really great. So you inspired a room of people by what you're committed to, and now that you can get that. So if you're committed to compassion, you know, I mean, we all have a gap between where we're compassionate and where we want to be compassionate, right? And it only takes us maybe 2 weeks with our family to figure that out. As Ram Dass says, you think you're so enlightened, go spend 2 weeks with your family. So now, because you have that commitment, now your everyday life, you're like, okay, how do I show more compassion? How do I show more compassion? So when someone's screaming and yelling at you, it's like, okay, how do I show compassion instead of getting into the whole thing? Okay, great. All right, finally, let's talk about gratitude journal. Who does a gratitude journal? Great. How does that impact your life?
It helps me to shift my mindset. When I notice I'm kind of not in a good mood, I can just go back and say, what am I grateful for right now?
Yeah, beautiful.
It really shifts it. It really helps.
Yeah. So gratitude, I teach the executives and entrepreneurs a gratitude journal. Every time, I usually do a 3 month to 6 month engagement with somebody, and at the end I ask them, well, what really helped? And at this point I've helped them turn around their company, I've helped them raise money, and they always say the gratitude journal. It's the first thing out of their mouth. The gratitude journal shifts the way that you perceive the world, and then shifts your emotions and your actions. So when you do a gratitude journal, your whole life opens up and you're able to be more effective. And it's very simple. You're going to write down 4 things a day that you're grateful for. The 4th one being about yourself. Do it in the morning. Set the tone for yourself in the morning. If you don't do it every day, at least do it 3 times a week. But doing it every day is just a good way because it creates a habit so that you actually do it. And you'd be surprised the magic and miracles that a gratitude journal creates in your life. Because what you pay attention to is what actually grows. Okay? All right, I can't get too much into that because we're out of time. Okay, I've meant to say this wrong. So there is a video in the presentation. If you want the video in the presentation, write down your name and your email. I'll just go around this way if anybody wants that. Just write that down. Thank you guys so much for being here. There's a couple things that, by you being in this room, there's a couple things that you're telling me. You're telling me that you do have a commitment to yourself and your business. You're telling me that you're willing to put your butt on the line to make it happen and be successful. And you're telling me that you want to make a difference. So thank you for being that type of person, and thank you for showing up today. If you have any questions, I'll be around. If anyone is interested in taking the CREW, the Success Incubator, let me know. It starts on March 5th for 4 weeks here in Habood. And includes a lot of great stuff, including your Habood membership. Yeah?
I think it was you like doing that last year, like here in Habood, for just women, or was not you?
No, it was not me. Yeah, I don't know who that was. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Be free, be successful. Go live the life of your dreams.